Keyboard's not connected. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live.
Unless you're watching it later, then we're no longer live. But if you're watching it right now, we are live.
Where it's recorded live.
We're recorded
in
live
front of the studio audience.
as long as you watched it when we were recording it. But
Correct.
if you watch it later on when we weren't recording, it's no longer
Correct.
live, but it was live at some point.
Correct. Just like we were live at some point. Add a device. Make sure your device is on. Well,
what are you doing over there?
Trying to add a device.
Looks like you're causing trouble.
There we go. It's coming on. It's coming on.
I'm sorry we weren't here last week. We just got busy with stuff. Okay, we have a live.
We have lives. Add a device. Keyboard. Connecting. Okay, I'm trying to connect my keyboard. I'm trying to get it organized again. And the more I unpack, the more stuff I find that I'm like, oh, that's what I needed for the show.
And you can't really see it today as well, I don't think, or can you? Our backdrop has changed a little bit, but we saw the banner, which that is going to change at some point. But the wife's Wookiee collection, which started out as a goofy or ugly Chewbacca collection that's responded to a Wookiee collection in general.
Yes.
Which we'll get rid of that.
We'll have to take the banner.
We'll take the banner down and change it, or we have a different idea. Especially when you have this little thing over here, we may not need this.
That's what I was telling. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
We take the
So
thing down.
that way, next time you'll see that there won't be a curtain rod necessarily hanging. It's just
Why didn't you hang the curtain rod with the?
Because they were already hanging up, and then by halfway of putting stuff up, I was like, oh. I could go back, but I'm gonna have to take the curtains down, re-screw the things in, and then redo it. So I'd already had the.
I don't think it even matters.
It does not matter.
Because this is.
I can use that curtain rod. Would you stop with the face?
I have to fix your eyebrows.
Well,
it was like this, like mad scientist.
It doesn't matter. I can take that curtain rod and put it in my Star Wars collection because I want to buy Star Wars curtains. So I want
curtains for you.
I want some vintage Star Wars curtains to hang in that room.
I got you.
So I want to need the light to cover up. Because I don't want any light coming because it'll start like what happened to some of the other places. Some of the things are discolored stuff because of the sun.
Yes. Once there was the sun.
So anyway. So we're back. We didn't do a show last week. We're back. As far as I know, we're fixing to take a trip, but I don't think it'll affect our show. I think it'll be.
Should. Well, no. I don't know what I'm going to do Sunday when we get back. I think I'm going to go straight to church. I don't think I'm even going to go to sleep. I'm just going to.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's going to work because you don't function on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep on the plane.
Yeah, but you'll still be all tired and grumpy. I mean, I'm going to still teach class, but my class is until like 3.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. I've sent a message to people.
So what we got?
We got a lot of things happening.
Besides watching you eat bread.
I'm having a little snack of bread and butter. You know what? It's a healthy snack.
You should have had some toast. Oh,
we don't have a toaster. We gave our toaster away.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We didn't.
In the move, we were like, you know what?
We're downsizing.
This is a 4 toast toaster. She some reason wants a 2 thing because when I make toast, I usually have like 2 to 4 pieces. So now I'm gonna have to make 2. When you finally buy a toaster, I'm gonna have to make 2 separate.
Why do you have so much toast?
Because it's like if I eat toast, unless I'm with my training meal, then I'll have 1 piece. But if I just have a craving for toast, I'll eat like 4 pieces of toast and that's it, nothing else.
Wow.
But I'll put like some bread, some butter and jelly on it, and that's like a sweet snack.
Mm-hmm. No, I get you. Like right now, I'm just having butter because it's a good snack.
But that's big fake bread, so technically that's equivalent to 4 pieces of bread.
Not if you get a toaster that has the white slot.
I'm saying you're eating 4 pieces of bread right now.
2.5.
All right, moving on. What's going on?
All right, so we're going to talk about some movies. That's what we do here. Let's pull it up and see what our options are today. Are you okay with this one?
I don't care. I'm fine with whatever you want to go.
I put them in this order. It's like.
Why isn't that ever? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Are you cool with that?
What's down there?
Oh, what?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got it. What's your 6? I thought we had 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We didn't watch that.
Oh, that's right. You are correct.
I know what I'm doing.
For once in your life, you're on top of it.
I'm always
on top.
So
let's go wherever you want to go.
All right, let's go here. Let's talk about this movie, The River Wild. It is a remake of a movie, it's maybe like a loose reimagining.
So here's the thing: is when I looked up, because when I got it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure the movie called River Wild. This movie's just called River Wild. I don't know why.
This one's called The River Wild.
No, this one's just called River Wild.
No, they're both called The River Wild.
No, it's not. The package says River Wild.
Well, how come on?
Well, you can look at whatever you want. I'm telling you what the package says
that
I watched in the movie we watched. It's just called River Wild. It doesn't say V on there. It says on the
Oh,
package.
original title River Wild.
Yes, and they changed.
I wonder if they're trying to do it to link it to the original, River Wild.
Anyway,
you know what? Calm the heck
there's a
down,
movie
mister.
that came out called The River Wild.
Yes.
And it had Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon, and then I forgot the other guy's name in it. It came out, I think, the
94.
90s. Yeah.
Best year.
So this movie is a reimagining / loose sequel, but only in name and circumstances. Like the story is completely different. It's just a group of people that are on the river and shenanigans occur.
Mm-hmm.
The original movie, they happen across, I believe it's a married couple that happen across some serial killer or criminals kind of thing. And then they're holding them hostage. In this case, it's a group of friends, or whatever you want to call them, I guess. Friends and or brother, sister kind of thing. And there's some stuff that happens between them and another group of people that are there. So they instead of discovering it, it's happening within the group.
And craziness doesn't.
Yeah, it's still crazy. It's still like a thriller, a little bit of action-y, I guess, if you want to call it that. Survival.
Yeah.
River
Against
Wild.
the odds.
Yeah. So now you didn't even know the other one existed.
I did not until you told me.
So
But now I want to go watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the original just because I like Kevin Bacon, so I always watched it when Kevin Bacon showed up.
Yes.
And I think I worked at a video store at
everything
the time
with
that
Kevin
came out,
Bacon.
so I remember I was just taking crap
You were
from
a
him.
huge Kevin Bacon fan.
I love Kevin Bacon. Kevin
I know
Bacon's
you
good
do.
at everything.
I know you do. You love him, especially in the one with the critters in the ground. Is that the critter movie?
The which one?
Is it? He's the one with the critters and the.
Oh, Tremors.
You love all of those, even though I
Tremors
don't think
are-
they're that great, right?
Yeah, no, there's some of them that are just awful, but it's just to see the Tremors, you know, what the hell are they called now? Anyway, to see them like come up and kill things, and Kevin Bacon's only in the first one.
No.
So
Isn't it the dad from?
Growing Pains.
Yeah. No. Family Ties.
Family Ties. Yes, he's in every
Michael
one of them.
Gross.
He's in every one.
Yeah.
And he was in the
He found
TV,
his place.
and he was in the TV show they did. He latched onto that thing, and then Jamie Kennedy joined it like in part 6 or something. He's been in almost all of them since. But they also did Kevin Bacon wanted to come back, and they were doing a new TV series for Sci-Fi Channel with Kevin Bacon, and then they didn't pick up the pilot. So he was very upset. Anyway, we're not talking about Tremors. We're talking about the river. We're talking about River Wild.
River Wild, not the.
This new one stars Adrian Brody and Taron Killam and Leighton Meester, from director Ben Katai, who did
Adam Brody, not Adrian.
Oh, did I say sorry? Oh, I need to change my review. I wrote Adrian Brody. Yikes! Sorry.
You had Adrian Brody
I need to go
from
do
that
this.
trailer.
Yeah.
You had him on your brain.
Yeah. He's in another movie we're talking about tonight.
That's why.
But anyway, the director of this is Ben Katai, I guess is how you say his name, but he directed the sequel, 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. So anyway, so what did you see? What did you see? What did you think of the film?
I liked this movie. I thought it's a little like the filming style and the way it came out. I don't know if this was more of like an independent-y kind of thing. Just the style of it felt very like close and personal, which I actually
lower budget-ish.
But I dug it. I think for something like this where you have because it's a small cast, it's like 5 people, and it's really centered around them, and the craziness that happens is within their group, and you don't really know who or what's doing what. And so I like that kind of closeness of the style in which it was filmed. We're outside the whole time. It does feel gritty. It feels dark. Like the darkness is dark.
You don't like camping. You don't like river things.
I don't like any
can't
of that.
Swim.
So it was a little stressful.
That's like saying, did this movie stress you out?
It was stressful. And now, if there was ever a time to go river rafting or canoeing or kayaking, like I'm not going because some crazy people.
Yeah, we're going to do some stuff that's a whole ocean related.
I know, but
which is funny because this got brought up with some friends the other night. Is when we went on our honeymoon, we were staying in a cabin in the mountains.
Oh my gosh!
And then we decided to drive to Vegas because we were not too far out of it. So we drove through the desert, and I'd brought movies with us to watch, and I happened to bring Hills Have Eyes, so we watched it before we took our trip through the desert.
Great.
So ironically, we just watched this. We're gonna probably watch a shark movie or something this week.
Great.
Before we head out.
Before we go see sharks.
Yeah, before we go swim with sharks and stuff.
But
I liked the movie fine. I thought it was kind of it's a very straight to home video type movie.
That's the feel I got.
A lot of predictability in it. You kind of know, I was hoping that the twist of who was going to be up to shenanigans wasn't going to be as obvious as it was. There is a little bit of the story itself and why they do it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then it becomes just a lot of bad decisions beyond that. So it doesn't have like the original one. It's innocent people being encountering crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, they're trying to imply one person is maybe slightly off kilter, but the reasoning behind everything they do doesn't ever really make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it happens and then it keeps, okay, but why are you so crazy now? And then why do you keep going this further crazy and making it, you know what I mean? It's one of those, but you have to kind of buy into that. I mean, the movie itself is fine. It's not a bad movie. It's just,
I thought it was fine.
I would separate from the original altogether. Don't look at it as even connected to that movie. That way, if you are a fan of the original movie, you're like, it's not as good as that one. It's a different movie completely. Like I said, other than there's people and there's a river, there's no connection whatsoever. So I would go into it like that. But I think it's one of those that's worth checking out if you just want to kind of a throwaway, generic, action-y thriller, revenge, dealing with the elements kind of thing. You know, if you like those kind of movies, and the casts are fine, they're all good.
I think that there is another layer of whatever, just like these people dealing with their trauma, and you know, like something happened when she was
younger. Did they
younger.
ever tell us?
Yeah, you kind of assume what happened with her and the guy.
Yeah, but they never really specify it, do they?
She says,
unless I kind of dozed off at one point.
Yeah, she says, and at one point he's like, "Oh, so now you're gonna fight back."
Oh,
you know?
Gotcha, yeah.
So she's dealing, with trauma of something that happened when she was a teenager. The guy got in trouble, and so he, you know, his life took a bad turn. So he's dealing with trauma, and then her brother kind of was involved, but was oblivious to what was happening to her because he was in his own issues with drugs and things. So he's now dealing with a consequence. So all these people are dealing with their crap, and you have innocent people thrown in the mix, you know? So I just thought it was really interesting. There is some layer of actual story. It's not just people fighting on the river or whatever. So
totally not related.
That I did enjoy.
This battery is just draining.
You need to bring in your
because I literally unplugged it. And it was at 98% before we started. It's at 82 already.
And that's why Mama bought you a new computer that you're not using.
I am using it. It's hooked up to my other computer. It's where I sit and use all day.
Okay, well, you need to.
And this is what I use for my art stuff.
You need to throw this in the trash.
No, I'm not throwing this in the trash because I'm using it for my art. I'll throw you in the trash because this is more useful.
You cannot even pick my butt up to throw me in the trash.
You want to find out? I bet you I've given a 300-pound man a piggyback ride.
That is true.
I can pick your dumpy little ass up and plug it all over the place.
Babe, throw it away.
I'm using it for my art stuff, woman. Do you not listen?
You don't need to. You have a new
I
computer.
do. It was highly inconvenient when I had one computer, and I told you that when I got the new computer that this one will still be used.
Okay, well, you need to leave it just there then plugged in.
How about you talk about the River Wild and stop bothering me?
It's a good movie. You should check it out. If you happen upon it, check it out. Why not? It wasn't bad at all.
If you happen upon her wandering the streets, know that she got kicked out over this computer. Right,
anyways, let's move on.
It's available now on Blu-ray and DVD.
Lord have mercy. Are you ready to go here, or do you want to go
wherever you want?
Because that came out a while back, so we're behind.
But if you, well, yeah.
Okay. The next movie
is officially probably one of my favorites of the year.
Already?
Yeah, it's on that. It's gonna be on the list.
Okay. This is the new film, Asteroid City. It's the new film from the guy that does weird movies.
Wes
Anderson. Okay, so first of all, if you do not like Wes Anderson movies,
you won't like this.
You probably may not like this. Although I would suggest giving it a chance because I don't think it's as weird, if you want to call it weird. I don't think it's as weird because it's explained.
I know it's explained, but I do think it's one of those that I think it's brilliant execution.
Yeah.
But I do think it's one of those that people watching it might not fully grasp, even though it's very obvious.
It explains to you what's happening.
I know that. I know it's very obvious, but what I'm saying is I think there'll be a lot of people that just won't grasp, okay, we get what you're doing, but why does it be like that? They won't fully get the concept of the art behind it. And then because of that and the dry performances and the kind of the weird behaviors and that kind of stuff, I think will lose people. Because then if you're like, okay, well, if it's this, then why aren't they putting more emotions or whatever, But
I think some of his other things are way more weird for no reason.
I think this is one of the weirder of his groups, in my opinion.
See, I think the other one was because it just lost me. The French Dispatch. I didn't really like that one. It was too vignette-y all
Yeah,
over the place.
but yeah, I agree with you. But that's a formatting thing. It visually was just as not as weird as
I think my favorite is still Royal Tenenbaums or Isle of Dogs.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is outstanding.
Mr. Fox, I never watched.
Have you never seen the Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Oh, Grand Budapest.
Yeah.
How can you not like that? But anyways, so
Moonrise Kingdom is good.
Moonrise Kingdom. I liked this movie, and I'm not always into weird things. Sometimes I am, but I liked it because it explains that it's like a story within a story, but it puts it out there for you. And I think it's interesting because it is exploring all of these different people's lives that come together and how they react to different things. I think the funniest to me was the story of the guy dealing with the loss of his wife and his kids and not knowing how to talk to them about that. And they're like, just tell him. I can't tell him. Just tell him. So, it's one of those. So I think it takes a serious subject, but in a lighthearted way. Then I think you have the story of the actress and how people must really talk to actors if they see them like, hey, I saw that movie, that sucked. Like, would you really go tell someone, hey, you sucked in that movie? But they do that to this lady, and they're like, oh, but you were good in this one. Why didn't anybody watch that? Do people really talk to celebrities that way? And it's just like, but why would you say that to anyone? Like, hey, I saw that, it sucked. So I think everyone did a really good job. It's great performances, amazing cast. And I think it makes perfect sense, and I really liked it. And it's witty. It's a talkie.
It is, but it's one of those that feels weird, unique, completely different, but still strangely familiar. Because we could explain why it looks the way it does, because it's not really a secret or a twist. But I think it's something to be interesting to find out as you turn it on, because you find out like in the opening frame of the movie. Yeah, it tells you what's happening. Of kind of why it's set up this way, why things look so weird and lower budget at times. Mm-hmm. Because that was one of the things that made me engaged on the trailers. I'm like, is he trying to go for something like in the 50s, or why is it so low budget? And I thought he was trying to go for like those movies of that time and make it stylized that budget. That's not what it is at all. Yeah, it's something completely different. But yeah, I found it deeper than I probably thought it was going to be. I thought all the performances are great. I thought the weird stuff with the kids was some of the best stuff in the movie.
They were funny.
And Scarlett Johansson I thought was outstanding because she was such just a nuanced, weird character. Mm-hmm. But you completely understand the stuff she's dealing with, even if it's weird. The whole movie's just strange in like a very brilliant way.
My favorite part is there's random songs.
Yeah, the random song and dance number.
And the one little boy's like, but I wrote a song about it. And the teacher's like, well, we don't have time. Suddenly these bunch of cowboys like, let's sing the song he wrote. And I'm like, okay.
It makes no sense and it works all at the same time.
It makes sense and it doesn't at the same time. But yeah, I think I like too the use there. You see some black and white figures in there. I like the use of the black and white for one area of the film and color for the other, and it makes sense.
Ironically, it's the same way. It's used very similar to Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is color and black and white. Mm-hmm. So when you're dealing with one person, and as the focal point is black and white, you're on this other thing, it's color.
I think it's smart.
Blurred line. So yeah, it's very interesting.
So smart.
I love this movie. I thought it was excellent.
I thought it was great too. I might not put it in my top.
It's going to be in the top 10 right now. Whether or not it stays, I don't know. It's not. It's a strong one, but not one of my ones that I know for a fact will never leave. But I'm pretty sure it'll probably float around in there, if not still stay at least by the end of it.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, as she said at the beginning, if you like Wes Anderson's films and his quirky visuals and tastes and storytelling, then you'll definitely like this one. If you hit and miss with him, this could be a hit and miss with him.
Yeah, you might like it though.
If you don't like him at all, you probably won't like this movie. So, but I would say at least give it a chance. It is different, and as I always say on this show, we complain and whine that we don't get anything different. It's always remakes and sequels, but then we get something new, nobody watches it. So watch it, check it out, give it a chance, and at least make your decision based on the movie.
Because I didn't like the last one, but I liked this one. Yeah. So you never know. And I do appreciate his method of storytelling. Actually, it's very quirky. It's very quick-witted.
And I like seeing Tom Hanks do something weird.
Tom Hanks had a weird coloring to him.
He did.
He was pinkish.
Well, I think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them did. The longer they were in the desert, they all started
They
turning more
started to
sunburny.
turn more pink.
Yeah, like
sand.
a sunburn look.
It was interesting. Anyways, I would check it out. I thought it was good.
Yeah, Asteroid City is available now on Blu-ray, DVD, and I believe it's on Peacock streaming as well. I think that's where it was at.
Nice.
So check it out.
All right.
Highly recommend it.
We're going to go to something completely different. Let's talk about this new movie right here with one of my favorite people.
Pee Wee Herman?
Yes.
Oh.
Not at all.
The new one we're going to talk about is Nefarious, starring Sean Patrick Flannery.
I should have brought my autograph with him. Because we're like this. Anyways, okay. So, this movie is it based on a true story?
Based on a book for sure.
Okay. So, it's a serial killer who's about to be put to death. And the psychiatrist has to come do the final evaluation to make sure that he's not completely woo-woo and that he understands what's happening and he can be put to death, right? To make sure he's okay.
Yeah, because he's claiming to be possessed by a demon.
Correct.
We don't know if it's true, if he's just acting nutty, if he's... That's kind of the point of the whole movie, is we're trying to find out, is he really possessed or is he just a nutbag?
Correct. So...
And believe it or not, this is more of a talkie as well, as you like to say.
It is a talkie.
It's not as supernatural as that imagery may make you think. It's not scary, really. It's essentially an interview that you're watching throughout. But there's some interesting twists. It's a very simple execution. The highlight of the movie itself is Sean Patrick Flannery.
Amazing.
Who I think gives one of his best, if not his best performance he's ever given.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many layers. The character has to go between the demon character and himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got to go from being kind of, both people are crazy because one's a serial killer of sorts, but having to be like, but it's not me, but it is me, but I'm innocent, but I'm not innocent. I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm angry, I'm scared. He's got to go through all these ranges of emotions and mentalities, and you have to be able to see it when it happens, which I think as an actor is one of those hard things to see when people like the light switch changes, and you have to see, because it's not just the words and the mannerisms, you got to see it in their face, like in their eyes.
Yep.
That you see suddenly that's a different person talking.
But he does it also in his speech patterns, his mannerisms, like everything changes. It's an amazing, because within the same scene, like he goes back and forth.
Yeah, he's like stuttering and kind of it's slow, and all of a sudden he's like meticulous and nefarious.
Yeah, well, Nefarious is the name of the demon, supposedly.
The movie itself is fine.
Yeah.
I found it at times a little underwhelming and a little dragging out slow.
Yeah.
As long as when he's on screen, which is most of the movie, it's way more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
But all the stuff when they get away from him kind of drags on, you know, and even some of the stuff I felt like they probably could have trimmed out even some of their dialogues down a little bit because it felt like it repeated itself a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what they were going for, and I did enjoy the movie, especially for his performance, but it felt too long for what we were getting, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know, because I think now I'm going to go into Bible side. I think the idea of a demon, nefarious demon style thing is that it is a slow burn. It's that it slowly creeps into your life and takes over. And
that's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about the pacing of the movie itself. I felt like it was...
Life is not that exciting.
No, I agree. But for a movie that's only like an hour and a half,
yeah,
it shouldn't feel longer.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it never was boring. It never was like, ugh, turn this crap off. This is stupid. It was just, come on, let's have something new happen, because you're having this same conversation and you haven't said anything different.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of times where he's kind of attacking the same subject. They argue about it, then they go back and start arguing about the same subject again. We're not getting anywhere.
Mm.
That's what started annoying me.
Yeah.
At times, but not in a way that affected the rest of the film. I still thought the film was actually really well
I
done.
agree with you on the pacing, though. I do think, though, from the other side of it, if you think about it, I mean, the two people sitting having a conversation.
Yeah.
So
And that's hard enough to make interesting. So when
yeah, because it's literally two people having a conversation the entire movie. There's a few interruptions here and there, but it's really about them and their dialogue and just going back and forth. I think some of the highlights, though, like you said, it's Sean Patrick Flannery's performance. And, you know, I saw an interview with him. He puts this in his top performances
I
that
agree.
he
I agree.
enjoyed making this movie because it was challenging because of the having to go back and forth and doing all this, and it's, you know, kind of a different subject matter, and it does leave you to, I guess, to you to decide, was it really a demon, was it not? I mean, because he knew stuff that how would he know, but then you find out he maybe did know. It's that whole psychological thing. So, you know, I was reading some other stuff. It's not necessarily a horror film. I think it's more of a psychological
it's
thriller.
a psychological thriller thing. And that's one thing I get why they do it for promotions. So like an imagery like this for the box looks awesome.
Yeah.
But it does create the thing that you're getting into a horror flick, right? And then I think that's how they can lose people.
Yeah.
Because you're watching, the image matches the story perfectly. It really does. If you look at it, it's multiple faces, it's chaos. You know, you can see evil in there, whatever. But at the same time, somebody watching it thinking, when is this kind of shit going to happen? When the face is going to, you know, because some people take this stuff literal and they don't get the separation. But at the same time, it looks cool and it's eye-catching and it can get people to watch it. Yeah. Which is the point of the box covers.
I know. Now, they did have an on-site exorcist, which was interesting to me when I was reading about it.
Russell Crowe?
It was a guy similar to that.
It wasn't Russell Crowe?
It wasn't Russell Crowe.
Okay. Then they're not. They did it wrong.
But they said it's similar to what it would be like talking to someone who's possessed, who goes back and forth. So I just thought it was interesting that they actually went through the trouble to get an exorcist on site, you know, to discuss these things. And then this brings up the whole thing on if whether or not you believe these things are real. I do. And you're like, meh, they could just be crazy people. You know,
think they all are crazy people.
Well, I know, but that's why.
I mean, if you want to go by the mentality of possession, anybody that does any crazy stuff, then you can just say, well, they were automatically possessed, and that's why they're crazy.
Yeah.
So then you wouldn't have two different versions of that. It's just,
well,
it contradicts itself.
I don't think it does.
Many times.
I think it is what it is. That's pretty much it.
Did you change the poster on the thing?
Did I change the poster on what thing?
We've been talking for a while. I think for some reason I'm still showing on my side.
Yep.
Those are way behind somehow.
Refresh.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, for some reason mine's way behind.
Anyways, I thought it was interesting. I liked it, but I kind of love Sean Patrick Flannery. So
you do, in fact.
Yeah, I think he's a nice dude.
And he is a very nice guy. I've interviewed him in person. He was a very, very genuine, nice guy. And I'm friends with him on Instagram.
Well, there you go.
So, and he's big into jiu-jitsu.
Nice. He is. There was that jiu-jitsu movie he did. It was pretty cool.
Yes.
Anyways, I liked it.
Nefarious is available now on Blu-ray and DVD. I'm sure shipping digital somewhere as well.
It's not super scary. So
no, not at all.
If you're worried about that, you'll be okay.
Check it out at your own risk.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's go to the next one. Are you good there?
Whatever. How many more do we got? 2 or 3?
3.
Okay, whatever.
All right. Moving on to something that's near and dear to my heart.
Well, so last week we didn't do a show. Part of the reason we were super busy. The other part is we had like one movie to talk about, so we decided to wait because it was going to work out anyway. But it was for the last voyage of the Demeter. Demeter, depending on what language you speak.
Wow.
Demeter. The last voyage of the Demeter.
Wow.
That's how you say it for real. It is. That's how they said in the trailer. Join us for the last voyage of the Demeter. That's what they said. Anyway, if you don't know, this is basically a passage, small section out of the book Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, about them bringing Dracula to the States at, I guess, the beginning of the book or wherever it's at.
It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it's a very small excerpt from the captain of the boat that he's on. And so they built an entire movie around it, which I found was had potential to be a very interesting direction for the Dracula lore.
Correct.
because most Dracula movies we get are just Dracula.
No.
It's
So
already
this is
Dracula.
after all the stuff that happened with him and Keanu Reeves. This is after that on the way.
Is it after that?
Yeah, it's on the way to Americas.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, because
after
over there, that's when
Transylvania.
he goes over there to go count whatever and sell him his property.
So this is the middle of the book where they
This
left.
is the middle,
okay.
but it's probably like this big. I'm now listening to the full Bram Stoker's Dracula right
I
now.
gotcha. Not Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker.
Stoker, not Strokers.
Yeah, so anyway.
Not Stroker Ace with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, so I'm listening to it. So this is later.
So anyway, so this movie is basically the story of them transporting this
some
mysterious
containers.
crate on a ship and the crew that's transporting it. And of course, we obviously know
Dun, dun, dun.
that something is in that crate and gets out and chaos ensues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So before watching the movie, how did the trailers grab you, or did they at all? And the idea of what it was. I know the first trailer I saw, I was like, okay, that could be interesting, but it never really fully grabbed me.
You told me the first trailer when I saw his little head, I was like, I'm in.
I know that, but that's not what I'm
all
asking you. I'm not
Dracula.
asking about your weird obsession with vampires. I'm asking
Okay.
about the trailer and the idea of it. How did that grab you, or did it?
It did. Yeah, of course it did. Because I'm into Dracula. But I liked it. I thought it was interesting.
You're not into Dracula. You're just into vampires.
I'm into vampire stories. I think they're interesting. But yes, of course, I was excited to see this. I wanted to see how it played
Although her
out.
sadness into vampires is really just Buffy and Twilight.
No, I like Dracula. I like all these things.
When was the last time you watched a Dracula movie?
Well, if I tell you which one I watched, you're gonna make fun of me.
It's like Dracula 2000.
I watched Dracula 2000. I like that movie. I've seen it several times. See, that's the reaction. That's why I don't tell you. But yeah, I watched
Dracula 2000.
Twilight.
Isn't that Gerard Butler's Dracula?
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, before anybody knew Gerard Butler.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it was good.
I don't know. Good's not the word, but it was a fine movie.
It was a fine movie. Anywho, talk about this one.
So I actually really dug this movie.
Mhm.
I was
Me
worried
too.
going into it because it was one that looked like it was going to be really good or just not work, because it could have gone either way.
Mm.
And when you put something on one location and then you're trying to make it make sense on how could they have not seen this, or how could they do this or that, I was worried about it being on a ship, and how do you drag that out into a full range and just not wipe everybody out in 3 minutes and the movie over. But it works well. I will say it was not as violent or gory as I anticipated. There's gore there, and it's well done. I think I just anticipated
More.
way gorier, and I was hoping for it. And I think they could have. It might have been a budget thing. They might have been purposely pulling back to try to make it more of a streamlined.
Maybe.
But I applaud to it. Looked like they used man in suit.
Yes, they
They didn't. Obviously, it's a different version of Dracula we're seeing. It's got the more Nosferatu bat look to it, as you see
Yeah.
kind of in the imagery.
He's not fully formed.
And it was shown in the trailer, so it's not like a secret spoiler kind of thing. But I dug that because it did make it more of a creature feature style instead of the normal Dracula, like blah blah, you know. And I felt like it created a horror vibe without being. It really wasn't scary, but I can see how something like you jumped a few times.
Because I was like, whoa.
But I really enjoyed it. I dug the movie.
I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I like that we're getting a different story of him, like you said, a different time period of it, a different version of him, because as you can tell, he's not fully formed yet. He needs more blood to get his flesh and bones all put together. I love even where the story leaves off, because it leaves it open to what he could be doing and who he could be and all these other things, and it's mysterious. And I liked the main dude, Corey Hawkins, who some of us will
MC
know
Ran, or is he Hawkman?
for the Straight Outta Compton.
Okay. His
So,
brother's
yes.
the other one then.
Yeah, so loved him. He's so good. And of course, this guy, Liam Cunningham, is just good in everything. He's like the cool older dude with the beard. The beard is what makes it. It's so cool. Anyways, I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I like that we bring into it multiple layers of the superstition on boats. You know, the whole superstitious thing. I like the cool thing they show in the trailers with the knocking, because I was like, that was bringing me back to this. But I do like that we don't pass over lightly the fact that our main character is a black man, even
Yeah.
in this time period. It's still brought up. Like, What do you mean you went to school? How do you know how to read? How can you do like what do you know? You're just a black guy. So
But that, and then they're also talking about, let me look at your hands. Oh, you don't work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little things. Like I thought David Dalmatian, he's got a long American. Dalmatians. Some of you would know him more recently as Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I always loved the guy, but he's he's really good in the movie. He's kind of the right-hand man to the captain, and he's kind of creepy and crazy, and I like seeing that he got to be front and center doing stuff. I've always liked the guy.
Yeah, and I like the crew. I like the crew. We have a whole variety of people and backgrounds represented.
There's this one scene where Captain Jack Sparrow comes running through. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I like that we have like the Asian guy, and you have a lady, and you have a kid, you have a black guy, you have like someone that's clearly like a descendant of a Viking. You have, everyone's equally represented.
It's a diverse cast without being a diverse cast. Like they're not trying to force a diverse cast on you. These are just people.
But because they are diverse, it brings up conversation. Yeah. Like if you had all this money, what would you do? And it's interesting to see everyone's perspectives within that doesn't change throughout history and time. But then interesting, what does our creature want? He just wants to eat anybody and he don't care. Yeah. That's the good thing about bloodsuckers. They don't distinguish between people. They eat everyone. But I just thought it was interesting. But to me, the one location being in the isolated location heightens the sense of like urgency of we need to figure out what the heck to do.
Well, see, and I always find it interesting. Like I love movies like that. Like the movie I love that doesn't get, I don't think enough love is a movie called Trespass, which is what were you about to talk about?
I was going to say it's the one with the guy from Superman on the boat, the ghost ship boat.
Oh, that movie's not that good. Oh. But no, the movie Trespass, which is one with Ice-T and Ice Cube and Bill Paxton, and the whole thing takes place. Have you never seen that movie? Where it takes place in like these two, Bill Paxton and William Sadler, and they go to rob or they find out about some buried treasure or something, but it's in the ghetto, and so they happen to get caught up in a drug deal kind of thing that they think that
closed down factory in St. Louis.
Yeah, and the whole movie takes place in that factory.
Wow.
And have you never seen that movie?
No.
What?
This is like a baby Ice Cube.
Yeah, this was before anybody really. I mean, we knew him as musicians. Yeah, we knew him as musicians.
Wow.
But this was like a big deal too. There was an actor.
Wow.
But we got to see Ice Cube and Ice-T in the same movie. Anyway, but I know people that don't like that movie specifically because they don't like it's in one location. Like it felt small. And I'm like, I love that. If you can pull that off, to me, it's interesting. And this one didn't feel as small as it was being on one big ship. It felt there's so many layers to the ship and the underside and the top and the towers and the quarters and all these different things, places to do things, that it felt like you're almost in a haunted house. It had that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
But I really dug this movie.
I did too. I thought it was good. I mean, but I love vampire flicks, so.
My it hasn't done very well.
Yeah.
And one part of it makes me wonder if it's because some people may think it's just a generic creature flick and don't know it's connected to Dracula. Yeah. Because like in the trailer it tells you, but there's nothing about the title that tells you if you don't know that.
If you're not a Dracula.
Yeah, if you don't know that Demeter was the boat, then you wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Like it didn't connect the first time I saw that. I
absolutely
didn't see the trailer, but when I saw the imagery, I just like, I said, okay, I'll look at that later. But I didn't initially read it thinking, oh wait, because it didn't have this image.
Yeah.
It just had a ship, and I'm like, okay, and I didn't know the context of what genre, anything else before I looked at it. And then when I started watching, I was like, oh, it's that ship. So.
Hopefully, us talking about it opens the light bulbs here. It's a Dracula movie, guys.
It is technically a Dracula movie.
So
it's got the Draculas in it.
Yes, the Drax. Good old Drax.
So anyway.
But I do love, by the way, the guy in the suit. I love the look of it. I like that we went with the bat look because I like that kind of looking things. And that we have
the thing with the half wings on the arms and he's like doing this is just badass.
And then like he kind of has hands, but they're kind of clawed and. Yeah. I think it's amazing, and he rarely speaks, but when he does, it's like kind of in your head, kind of not, and I thought it was.
They do leave it open, hoping for more, but at the same time, I read a thing with the director saying they have ideas, but at the same time, we know where it goes, and so it's hard to inject a lot of other things there because you already know where it's going to go. So it's like you got to walk a thin line and not end up messing up what the novel is because you took this out of the novel.
Correct.
And
But
so
I mean,
you can only go so far before you're in the novel.
Keanu Reeves
again.
took a little bit out of the novel.
No, I know that, but that movie was never fully just, hey, we're basing it on just a novel. They're saying Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it didn't follow every aspect of the novel the same way.
It's pretty close.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I'm not sure that Keanu Reeves was the best.
Well, nobody thought Keanu Reeves fit that part. Even after it came out, nobody thought that.
Oh, well.
But he was the big thing then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Keanu Reeves fit that part. Mm-hmm. And I love Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. The Last Voyage of the Demeter is in theaters now. So check it out. Go see something different. Stop watching Barbie and go see that.
People did stop watching Barbie. We'll talk
barely. Not really. Barely. It was number 2 and it still did a lot.
All right. Let's talk about this one.
It's a global monster.
Okay, guys. Let's talk about the new Netflix movie of the week, Heart and Stone, starring Wonder Woman.
Actually, I think this was a Netflix movie of last week.
Okay, Wonder Woman, Mr. Gray, and a beautiful Indian lady. That's all we got. Watch it.
Next.
Next.
This is basically her Extraction, John Wick.
Her moment here.
Nobody, whatever movie of basically getting another action flick for her. And I thought she did a good job in the movie. She
did a good job in the action stuff.
The movie's a little silly at times. It's kind of James Bondish.
Yeah.
In their tone of like gadgets, and so you have to buy into the believability of some of the stuff they do. Like, very James Bond like, where the like old school James Bond. I like the newer Daniel Craig stuff. The older, where the kind of a somewhat not over the top, but somewhat out there villains, gadgets that you just buy into. Like they don't always make sense. So, like she has these things that she puts on that make sense to hear, but also you can see out of her eyes too. But you buy into like, ooh, cool technology, So that kind of stuff. As long as you buy into that aspect, then the movie works really well.
I feel like though, what was this based on? Is it based on a book or anything? No intelligence operative and shadow organization, race to stop a hacker.
Probably some kind of a book series.
My only thing I will say is that it feels like we start in the middle of something. We're in the middle of a mission when it starts, and then you have to that's fine, but we have to kind of pick up the pieces of like, what the heck's going on here? And who are these people? Because it doesn't tell us, which fine. I mean, I get it. You're trying to make us more intelligent through movies. I get you. I feel like we were just in the middle of a story and then it just keeps going, which fine, whatever. I do like seeing Mr. Gray in something different because 50 Shades just wasn't it for me.
Okay, well, it's not based on anything.
Okay, good.
But Greg Rucka conceived the story, who's actually a comic book writer. He's done a bunch of novels and stuff, but he also did, remember that movie, I think it was a Netflix movie as well, was Charlize Theron, The Old Guard, about the Immortals?
Yes.
That's based on an actual comic, but he did that comic.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote this screenplay as well, or he created this as well.
All right.
And it says that it's intended to be very Mission Impossible-like.
It is.
And hopefully the beginning of a franchise for Netflix for this. So
it is. And I don't know that we've built the Mission Impossible camaraderie until the very end of the movie. Whereas in Mission Impossible, these people would die for each other, and you know it at the beginning. So I think it's different in that sense. I was saying I like James. I'm not going to call him Mr. Gray anymore because I know he didn't enjoy those movies. I mean, he didn't.
Nobody else did either.
He knew. It's interesting. I read an article. He knew they would be blockbusters, but he knew critics would hate it.
Oh yeah, I read.
He knew. And he also took over from
Charlie Hunnam.
Yes,
which I'm so glad because I would not have wanted Charlie Hunnam in that.
It might have been more believable. I don't know. But anyways, Jamie Dornan, I think at least he's doing something different. I liked him in this. I liked hearing his real voice. I loved it. I thought it was good, and I think he did a good job in this. Wonder Woman, of course, is amazing. The beautiful Indian lady is Ali Bhatt, and
Alibaba.
Yes, and I thought she did good too. I don't know that I've seen her in anything. I don't know that I would have. Oh, she's been in some stuff. Just a couple Indian things, but some U.S. things. Anyways, I thought she was good too. I liked it. I think I liked that the cast was so international. And yeah, there are people that she's an RRR. Okay.
Oh, is that what it is? All right.
She does look familiar, doesn't she?
Huh?
She does look familiar now that I look at her. From RRR. I'll have to go watch it again because, the RRR movie's amazing. Anyway, but I like that we have a very cool international cast of people we may or may not have seen, and I like that. I like when we get to see new people, because sometimes seeing the same people over and over again is like, okay, but I liked it. I thought it was cool. I really liked the movie. For me, there's some problems that.
I had problems with it too. If you want to get all technical, I mean,
it seems weird and rocky at some points, but we get through it.
Well, like I said, it's very comic book like.
Yeah.
Which makes sense since Greg Rucka created it, that it's kind of written that way and designed and that kind of character. But I see the influences of James Bond and Mission Impossible and all those kind of films that you have to. It's a story. It's a world you have to buy into.
Correct.
And once you buy into it, you can have fun.
Yeah.
Because it's not doing anything that's changing genre. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like John Wick when it came out, going, "Oh my God, did you see that?" It's just like, "Oh, that was a good fight. Oh, that's a cool movie. Oh, this is a fun movie." So I think it's a fun flick if you just like action flicks, and if you like Gal Gadot. I know what her name is. If you like her, then she's a great lead for the movie. I think she does well, and I hope it does well enough to kind of do some movie. I like to see some other missions.
Yeah, you can see some other missions. I thought it was fun. It's it's fun.
Heart of Stone is available now on the Netflix.
All right.
Stream it now.
Next, let's go to the next one.
Just the last one?
Yes.
All right, so the number one movie, the movie that knocked Barbie off the top, but sadly still didn't do as good as everybody was hoping it would so far, is Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a huge Blue Beetle fan. I'm entertained by him when he shows up in the comics, and he showed up, I believe, in Smallville and some other stuff, and so I like all things comic books. So if I see him, I'm automatically entertained, but he's not a comic I read.
Yeah.
There's been different variations. So going into this, I wondered, knowing they were using Jaime Reyes, which is the more current one, were we going to get any of Ted Kord or any of the other people involved? And thankfully, there are references. You knew nothing.
I knew nothing, but I knew when things were happening. I was like, oh, okay, this is a comic
Right, but
thing.
I mean, you just didn't know anything about the Blue Beetle character or anything.
I just know the Blue Beetle will save us.
The what?
The Blue Beetle will save us.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming he's going to save people because he's a good guy. That's all I know.
So I also wasn't sure. One, I wasn't sure if Blue Beetle movie was going to even work. I'm like,
yeah.
And here's what's funny. You may not know this. This movie was intended to be a straight to HBO Max movie.
Oh my.
This was before it became Max. It was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was testing so well they put it in theaters.
Nice.
And now it's not on Max, it's in theaters. And it may have been I don't want to say it's a bad decision, because I think this movie deserves a bigger release, because it is that good. It's fun. I love the nods into the Hispanic culture, which we'll get into in a minute, or Latino culture, whatever you want to say. Latinx. I just hate that term.
I'm not going to say I hate it.
But it's also got the superhero elements. There's a lot of familiarity of other things, so it doesn't have as much originality as I'd hoped it would. But at the same time, I thought it had everything I wanted and more. Very much like when the first Thor movie came out. I wasn't a fan of Thor either. And so I came out of the movie going, hey, I didn't go read Thor now, but I'm like, hey, I really dug that. I can't wait to see more Thor. Like, I want to see more Blue Beetle now. Yeah. So with you not knowing anything about it or having history or any kind of like this, what did you think of the film?
I really liked it.
Now, before we get into your in-depth stuff because of your brown people, did you like it? Forget the Latino culture aspect, which is hard to, because it is a very important part of this movie.
It's so embedded.
Did you like the movie only because that infusion made it work for you? Or did you like the movie if, say, it was white people doing the same story? Obviously, they would act differently. It had been a different culture. Do you think you would have enjoyed the character the same?
Yeah, I think so, because I think it was kind of, for me, not having any reference, I think it's a little kind of Spider-Man. What's his name?
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. What's the guy's name, though? I think it's like that. That kind of, I don't know the word in English. It's not coming to me, but like that naive, wants to do good, but doesn't always do good because they're teenagers. They're trying to figure it out. Right. So I like that time period of superhero lives. But I like the gadgety stuff too. So it's kind of Iron Man-y, and when Iron Man makes him the cool suit, he's like, "Oh, this is my cool suit." So I think that's where we're at, in like that
which annoys me as a comic fan in Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, he has more of that now.
Yeah.
But forever, Spider-Man was just Spider-Man in a suit, and the only gadget he had was his web shooters. Mm-hmm. He had the web wings at one point. He had the black suit, but it was never like, till years later they made the Iron Spider suit. Now there's all kinds of crap they're doing with him, but I was like annoyed that that's how the origin of his suits and stuff happened. But that was, again, I always separate those movies from the comic as a separate universe.
Yeah.
I had to, or I was going to lose my freaking mind. But this one had a lot of elements of like, and I mentioned to you, and you didn't know what some of it was, but like the Power Rangers, the Guyver, still the superhero stuff.
I like that his suit has a voice.
Yeah, and even the villain suit thing that I don't want to say who it is for fans that don't know, so I don't want to spoil it. It does not look like the character does in the comic, but it actually had a Metroid vibe, which is a video game character. And when I say Power Rangers, I'm not talking about cheesy bad. I'm just saying the vibe of the people in the suit and the powers and the different things they do and stuff is kind of cool. But I thought the movie worked really well. I had a blast with this movie.
I thought it was great too. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
I felt that it didn't do what it should have done, but I think this was very on par with what Black Panther was doing for African American culture.
I agree.
This one was doing for Latino culture. It didn't get the same push. And I think part of the reason it didn't make as much money as it probably should have. One, it's a lesser known character in a universe of DC that has not been doing that well in their movies. So it's not getting the instant gratification of a Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's right in the middle of the strike, so none of the people in the movie were promoting it whatsoever. They couldn't, and they didn't even come to the premiere. And the director was even talking about how he was applauding them for not coming to the premiere and staying on the strike, and because that's just as important as promoting your movie. But it does beg the question: would the movie have done better if the stars were out promoting it, or would it even made a difference?
Yeah.
It made like $25 million, which is
good.
Horrible, but it is I think the second lowest gross of any DC movie that's come out so far.
Yeah.
Where I think Wonder Woman 1984 was the another one of them, but it also came out during the pandemic and it launched on HBO Max and the theaters at the same time, so it stole some of its gross away, and it got bad reviews.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, I liked it.
So you, as a Latin woman watching this movie, how did you feel?
Oh, completely amazing. I thought it was amazing. And we saw it at our screening, was hosted or sponsored by a Latin whatever group. I don't even know. Yeah, the guys that were running that one. I don't know if it was a podcast or radio station or whatever, but it was like a Spanish.
They were all the normal PR people is what I saw. But
the two Mexican guys that were actually hosting it.
That's fine. I just didn't see them. My white privilege didn't allow me to see it. They gave us these things at screening before you get into it, and I forget.
It felt like a Marvel movie more than DC. I agree. That's why to me it's equivalent to like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I love the movie. I thought it was excellent. But see, they gave us these comics, which is just a normal Blue Beetle comic that came out. I don't know if it has a special cover or anything. And then we got a couple of posters, which is the official poster, the small version, and then the little teaser poster, the image that you see up there. So we got some fun posters. And I told her to grab these posters because we don't always hang a bunch of this stuff and other things, but because this is kind of being billed as the first Latino superhero, I thought that's something you might want to be able to display for your culture in our theater and that kind of thing. Just like we have a Black Panther one up because it's kind of an important movie for the genre. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go back to your.
No, I think it's really important. At least the whole representation matters. It actually does, and I think it's important. I think the good thing is we saw it with a crowd that was predominantly Latino or Hispanic, whatever.
Eating up all the references.
It was amazing. I think the other thing that I like is they don't subtitle the Spanish. And they don't subtitle your references or whatever. You just need to know it. So when
they subtitle some of
it, but
the reference stuff they did and the dialogue they did.
Some of the but not even all of it.
Yeah, most of them. Not this. They did
not
the same
random.
thing. They did the same thing that they do in anything when it's like a quick 2-word statement that you make to like the mom or what she refers to the kid or something like that. They don't subtitle that because everybody kind of gets what they're talking about.
Yeah. So but I liked it. I thought it was cool, and I dug the references, and they were all references that finally it's like all references for me that I get. Right. There's so many references in superhero movies or whatever of like characters or things, and I'm just like, okay, and you're like, yeah. And so this time I was like, yeah. And when they show the telenovela on the screen of Thalia, and I'm like, yeah, I watched that show. I know what they're saying.
But then they infuse that into the story too. It's not just something that's watched in the background.
No.
Like even the after credit, the end credit scene is still playing on that goofiness of that.
Yes.
And you can tell it's paying homage to the culture.
It is very culturally rich. I think the other thing that I appreciate is the concerted effort that was made to hire all Latino actors except for your one main characters as the bad white lady.
The white privileged lady.
But
even her henchman was Hispanic.
Correct.
So it's like
he was
everybody.
Guatemalan or whatever they said.
Which I love that guy. He was the
scary looking man.
He was a little off for me, which I'll get into in a second. But he's from my show Mayans, and I love him in that show. So I was excited to see him do something on a bigger scale, just like the kid that's the star of it. I don't know how to say his name.
Solo.
How is it?
Zolo.
Solo?
I think it's Zolo, right?
It's like IOXO or something.
It's XOLO.
Is it?
Solo. Let's go find out.
Anyway, the kid from Cobra Kai. When they said they cast him as this, I was like, oh god. Like I like him in that show, but I didn't envision him as the Blue Beetle type of character.
YOLO? Maybe it's YOLO.
You only live once?
Yes.
I didn't envision that he was going to work in this role, and I was wrong. He is excellent. He's got good charisma. He's good at the kind of the teenage angst, teenage innocence, and all that kind of stuff. But he also does a good job at being a hero and being a star, you know, to carry this movie. Like I believed in him as the lead of this movie, not on the character in another film, or
I think it's Solo
popping into Justice League film or a Superman movie or something if they decide to bring him in that way. And I think this character is technically the first official character in the new DC universe. It's not the first movie into the DC universe because this was made before, but this is the first character that they are clearly James Gunn's planning to keep around. He loved this movie. Yeah. But now we'll see. It didn't do as great in the box office that I think everybody was hoping. But I hope that if they're smart, like Superman Legacy that's coming out next year is supposed to be the first official movie into the new universe. And they've got a lot of other heroes. They would be smart to include him in there somehow because then he gets that push. Give him a push in the big one. You know, are you trying to hear somebody say his name?
Well, I was watching him say his name.
So, but anyway, and him and the girl in there are dating in real life, from what I understand. No.
Which one?
The one, the court girl, the one with movies. The love interest in the movie. Yeah, I believe they are dating in real life now. I've watched a video. It was a very cute video. It's a very cute video of them pulling up and him getting out of the car. This isn't a movie thing. This is like a real thing, an Instagram type video. And he gets her out of the car, but he's got her blindfolded.
Oh.
He gets out of the car and he takes the blindfold, and it's this gigantic billboard of Blue Beetle.
Oh.
And she just is in tears because, you know, her face is in the poster.
Yeah.
You look at the main poster, she's like looking over the corner, and then so they're hugging, and she's just in tears. And
it's a big deal, man.
You know, and I showed you the video earlier when the guy offered him to part.
Yes, he was crying.
Who were they talking to in the video? Was that like
it was the director guy.
No,
they called his parents.
Was it his mom or whatever?
I think
or his
so.
grandmother
His mom or his dad.
And he was telling him how important it was because it was the first Hispanic superhero, right?
Yes, I think so.
And you see him have a tear running down his face, so you understand the importance of it, and it's the kind of thing that even if this is a one-shot movie and the whole character dies off in this movie, I don't think it will. It still is an impactful situation. It will always exist now, and he's always been there for that. And I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to be in a lot of other things outside of this.
And I think because too, he seems like a normal person.
Well, here's the thing: is watching him in Cobra Kai, I can say, okay, he's a good actor. He's good in this show.
He seems like a nice kid.
But seeing him in this movie, I see the star power.
Yes.
You know, but you don't see in Cobra Kai. I see a kid that will probably work. This, I saw something else.
Yes.
You know. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the final season of Cobra Kai with him and be like, do your Blue Beetle powder.
But I do appreciate that he was doing a lot of his own fighting and stunt work. They showed some behind the scenes thing online, and he was practicing doing the turns and the kicks and the.
I love this movie. I dare to say it's one of my favorite DC movies that has come out. I know this may shock you.
Wonder Woman.
I know this may shock you. I do love the first Wonder Woman. I actually don't mind the second Wonder Woman. I kind of like it better, but that's who are you calling?
I'm listening to this.
We're on a show. That's not important right now.
Wasn't Zorro the first Hispanic hero?
Huh?
Zorro, yes.
But he wasn't a superhero. Anyway, this may come as a shock to you because I'm white and I'm married to a Hispanic woman. But I felt some of the impact because I grew up around nothing but Hispanic culture. My best friend's Hispanic. My karate instructor's Hispanic. My parents are very white, but my wife is Hispanic. I've dated other Hispanic
That's so
women.
funny. My parents
I've
are
always,
very white.
they are. There's none of that.
They're a little bit country.
I do have some black relatives as well. But
there you go.
But I was always around the culture, the Hispanic culture of.
Yeah, I think that's why I like that you understand me and you understand the references. And
Well, and I understand
it.
most of the stuff going on in this movie because I've
Yes.
been at my friend's. It wasn't my house, but it was my friend's house.
Yeah.
And being over there and them making menudo, and I'm like, what does that smell? And then you find out, and then.
Well, once you clean it out 2 times, it's okay.
I know.
I won't eat it, but that's okay.
And then the little things that you learn from movies, but I saw it firsthand of putting the eggs under people's beds when they're sick.
Yes,
and,
you gotta do that.
And the different culture stuff, and then the Catholic stuff, and and then some people like my best friend's family weren't that hardcore Hispanic because his mom's white, so he's only half.
Right.
And so, but they were ingrained in the culture, but not like, hey, we're in a Hispanic only household. It was a mixed household. But if you go to my Taekwondo instructor's house and family,
for real.
they were full on Chicano Mexican level.
For real Mexicans.
And so I've grown up around that, and I've always kind of embraced the culture because I have been told that I'm honorary Mexican long before you came around.
You should be.
And I was praised by those people when I decided to date a Hispanic person. They're like, finally, get rid of the white lady.
Exactly.
They liked it. They were fine when I dated the Puerto Rican, and then I ended up going with the white lady. They told me, what's your problem? Now I'm with the Hispanic one. They're like, hey.
Anyways.
Why is her name Priscilla?
But I do think it's important that the whole cast was Latino. I mean, if that's what it is in the comics, at least we're being somewhat
I don't know.
accurate.
I don't think
Who knows?
it's like that in the comics because the comics, again, I don't read it, but the comics is pretty much only following Jaime and maybe some of his family, but it's usually going to be Jaime, Blue Beetle, and then he's hanging around with Superman and the other Blue Beetle and Ted Kord and the Justice League and Teen Titans, and it's that world. So you're not getting just an ingrained Hispanic world all the time like this movie gave you.
Yeah, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I also didn't think George Lopez was going to work. Like, I love George Lopez. I watch all of his every show he comes on. We watch. I love his stand-up specials. When I saw him in the trailer, I thought he looked ridiculous.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my, he's going to be this goofy parody, And then when seeing the movie, I thought, okay, he's probably going to be a kind of a throwaway. What's it called? Gimmick casting. Like, we got George Lopez, we got a well-known Mexican, but he's not going to do much.
Right.
George Lopez did a ton in this movie.
Yeah.
And he had some great dialogue. He's funny. His character's funny. His look fits the ridiculousness of his character. He's like he's the uncle, but he's the one that's like the conspiracy guy and the crazy one.
Yes.
He has a great little mini monologue about how Batman's a fascist. That was hilarious, and he worked really good.
I think he did really. I think everybody did really.
They did. They were all. The cast was all excellent.
My favorite person was the grandmother.
She was a little cartoonish at the times.
I know.
But it's still funny
and
entertaining. Yeah, it was still entertaining. And then also I was very happy that they did infuse a lot of Blue Beetle lore into the thing. Like, I know a couple people complain well, they just glossed over Ted Kord and the other guy.
No,
and I'm like, no, they were very firmly there and talked about they exist, and that's kind of clearly what they're setting up is that legacy and how he fits into that legacy, and the fact that the Beetle ship or whatever and all that, the Beetle cave, I don't know what it's called, all exists in this movie as well. And so I gave that bigger thing, and I kind of like that we're dropped in the middle of something that we can now learn about.
Yes.
Instead of going to the middle one and then replacing it later.
Yes.
So anyway, I loved it. I thought it was most excellent.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
So if you're gonna check it out, please do so. Go see it. Keep it beating Barbie. It beat Barbie and Oppenheimer for being #1 this week. I don't think movies like this usually drop, so Barbie might be big next week. But also Gran Turismo comes out next week, so maybe it'll take the top spot. But also it needs to get that support. If you want to give the new DC Universe a chance, go see it. So if you want to see more Blue Beetle, go see it. And if you like Hispanic people and Mexican food, go see it because they may get rid of all that. They may get rid of enchiladas if the movie doesn't do well. Who knows? They may take them away from us.
Let's go have enchiladas.
But what?
Let's go right now.
Anyway, I did see an old interview with George Lopez today that wasn't about this movie because this movie wasn't made yet.
Right.
And he said that they did reach out to him and they were asking about casting him in this movie. And he's like, well, I'm going to play the uncle. It looks like it'll be a stereotypical role. And he goes, then I talked to the director and he goes, I got it. And he goes, and then when you sign on these comic movies, it's a big deal. Because I've done big things. He goes, but you sign on for it and you're signing up for this movie, but then there's 10 more movies down here. And he goes, and
You
so
never know.
you got a long-term contract in that universe. It's kind of like, that's why how Marvel and all those people, none of these people sign one contract anymore. It's a contract and you agree to this many, and then you hope they make it.
Yeah, potentially.
Because they may never make the rest of it.
They may not, but they could.
But Blue Beetle is excellent. It's in theaters now, and you should check it out. If you don't,
check it out.
You're dumb.
Alrighty then.
That's all I'm going to say.
Go watch it.
Speaking of checking things out in the theater, let's go to our contest first, because I want to talk about.
Good.
I know that's out of order of what we normally do.
We got to talk about this.
But we do have some Blu-rays and stuff to give away. But this Wednesday in is it Grapevine? Let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Yes, Grapevine Mills here in Dallas, or it's not really Dallas. I guess that's Grapevine. Is Grapevine in Dallas? Or is it considered its own?
I think it's
its own thing, right? Okay. So anyway, the movie The Hill, we are giving away passes to go see the screening of the movie on Wednesday. We are not able to go, but thankfully I was still able to get passes for the 23rd. If you want any of them, I think I have 10 to give away. Well, if you want them, you got to go to the website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
Go down to the contest, click on the poster for The Hill that you see on the screen right now, and just email me. There's not even a question that you have to answer anything. You literally just email me, and I will send your name over to the studio, and they will send the passes, the confirmations to you. I don't know for a fact, but I'm going to tell you this up front. A lot of screening passes you get are first come, first serve. But in this case, it sounds like they're going to put names on lists.
Oh,
so you might get, I don't quote me on it. They may just send you the digital copy that you just print out and bring with you and wait in line. But either way, it's a free movie. And The Hills it's a movie I would like to see. I haven't seen the trailer for it, but it's a true story, I believe. True story says it on the screen. True story following a guy who has this extraordinary ability for hitting a baseball despite being burdened with leg braces and a degenerative spinal disease. And his pastor father, there you go, discourages him from playing baseball to protect him, to follow his footsteps, to be a preacher instead. But he becomes a baseball phenomenon. And when he's put out to pushed to try out for a legendary baseball league scout, ends up there's the conflict of Mason. He can be a major league baseball star, or they're going to stop him because of their religion and all that stuff. So, but it's got Dennis Quaid, and I'm sold from Dennis Quaid. So it's got Bonnie Bedelia. I just wanted to say Bonnie Bedelia. So anyway, if you want passes to see that, go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
Click on contest and email us your name, and I will get you passes until they're run out.
There you go.
All right. And since we're already here, let's talk about the other one. We still got copies of East of Eden to give away on 4K with James Dean. We got a couple of digital copies left of The Little Mermaid, the live action edition. We got still got a copy left of The Return of Swamp Thing. Some of these are going to be disappearing soon. We still got a couple copies of Enter the Dragon 4K, which has been getting all kinds of hype lately because it got re-released in the theater celebrating its anniversary. And lastly, a 4K copy of Rio Bravo with John Wayne and Dean Martin.
There you go.
Now shifting focus, there's not a lot coming out on the Blu-ray this week. Weird Science is getting the 4K
Weird
treatment.
Science.
That's right.
Love that movie. Chet, why didn't you tell me Chet was going to be
here?
here?
I need to watch the 4K that they sent me. So if you want to watch it,
I will watch that. I love that movie.
Hackers is getting a 4K release, which is Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie, and that's kind of it. A lot of the other stuff, there's something called The Rape of the Vampire.
Oh my!
It says U.S. limited edition. Some movie Pretty Baby with Keith Carradine and Susan Sarandon. Hey, that works perfect because she was the villain. The movie Coma is getting a special edition release. Bo Widerberg's new Swedish cinema collection is getting. So it's a lot of like older stuff re-released, not a lot of brand new stuff this week.
All right. Well, let's talk about things coming out.
Let's talk about. Not that.
And we're talking about things coming out at the theater or online. So coming out on Tuesday on video demand and digital is a movie called Bootyology.
Oh, well, that's always a good one.
It's a comedy.
Are you in that?
No, it's a comedy where there's a documentary crew exploring the relationship between artificial intelligence and popular music. And they find out that a band called the Booty Boys have gone missing.
The Booty Boys?
The Booty Boys. And they're on a journey to find them there. Also on video demand and digital is Ashkal, the Tunisian investigation.
Is this the story of Oshkosh B'gosh?
Oh, no.
What was that?
The dog stepped on my foot and
Oh, I thought you
scratched
just
it.
pooped yourself.
No. It's these people, these police officers stumble upon a burnt body that they can't identify. And then as they investigate further, they find out there's corruption throughout the city. So it's interesting. I need that. Coming out also on video, demand, and digital, a movie called Storage Locker. It's about this guy who is a fanatical comic book collector. He falls for these two girls.
That's always the problem right there. You fall for girls. That's it.
But these girls actually are running the secret society that goes and kills people and steals their comic book collections, which sounds very bizarre and interesting.
I don't mean to interrupt you,
yes.
But I need to read it. Don't read it. Let me read it to you. Somebody shared this headline, and I don't know if it's a real headline, but it had me cracking up. It says, a man dual-wielding raw steak slaps diners in the face at a vegan restaurant yelling, if you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding.
He's just going around saying.
That's what it says. Anyway.
That's not a movie.
It should be. It says it's a news headline. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's hilarious.
Also coming out on video, demand, and digital is a movie called The List. It's a romantic comedy about this couple are getting married. She finds out that her soon-to-be husband actually met and had relations with someone on his celebrity free pass list.
Oh.
Before they get married. So now she's upset and jealous.
But can you be upset if you give them a free pass list?
So now she's on a mission to go find someone from her list. So the movie's called The List.
So let me ask you this. You probably won't see that movie, but let me ask you this.
I don't care.
No, I'm saying if you have I'm not talking about us. I'm just going to do whatever I want. I'm a man. No. If you have a free pass list, do you think anybody's I'm just saying, if you haven't agreed that, hey, this is your free pass, and even if you said it because you know there's probably zero chance.
That would never.
It happens.
Ever meet anyone.
Do you think you even have the right to be mad because you gave them free pass?
You don't, and that's the whole point of this.
Okay, movie. I'm asking your personal opinion of that.
Then is a movie also called Grump. It's the story of a little dog. Oh my gosh.
I'm making my pass.
On his way home. He's on a journey home, and it's about all the people and animals he meets along the way. Grump.
Hey.
Then next week we'll be talking about the movie Metalocalypse Army of the Doomstar. Somebody here has been watching the entire series and all the movie,
I've already watched the movie
to get ready for it. So,
I've already watched it.
Okay, we'll be talking about that. Coming Wednesday on Disney Plus.
Big announcement.
They
announced they have moved it to Tuesday.
Coming on Tuesday to Disney Plus, the new series Ahsoka.
With a two episode premiere on Tuesday now instead of Wednesday.
I am so
and I
ready.
believe it will now be on Tuesdays everything. And I believe they moved it to Tuesday and they altered the time because one of the big arguments has been it hits on the same day, but it hits at like 2 a.m. in California. Or no, midnight in California. So it was like 2 a.m. here. And so I think they adjusted it where it hits the same time everybody at like some weird time that everybody can watch it.
Well, time is not linear. Time is a circle.
Anyways,
I wonder though too if it's going to follow the novel Ahsoka that I have over there,
and
where she was.
Well, I think it's directly continuing the Rebels finale.
From where she was at the
Rebels finale, and then the
Do
stuff
we need to go watch that again?
I thought about rewatching Rebels,
up?
but she pops up at the end of the last episode of the first season, and then she's in it for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think we need to go watch that.
I've already rewatched it a couple times because that's what I used to watch when I was on the treadmill.
I was reading the book of supposedly where she went after she left the Order, and she ends up in this little town kind of hiding out, helping people, but not revealing who she is.
Well, that's kind of how it was in the Clone Wars episodes.
So I wonder if, because there's a voiceover where she's like, well, I was here and doing this. So I'm just wondering if it's going to
remember in the Clone Wars, that's how it started, where she's helping them build those two sisters build the ships and all that stuff, and then they find out she's a Jedi, and then it's not till then she goes back to Anakin and everything.
We'll find out. All right, coming out on Friday is the movie The Hill, the one we are giving away free tickets for. Go to the website, hollywoodmatrimony.com.
Oh, I didn't know that movie was coming out already.
Also on Friday, coming out Golda, about Prime Minister Golda Meir. Demeter,
No.
from
Voldemir.
the Israeli Prime Minister. I think that's going to be a very interesting movie. Also coming out in theaters, a movie called White Bird.
That's the movie that's part of the Wonder story. That's the one with Helen Mirren, and she's telling her story.
This is the kind of the
it's a
sequel,
spin-off.
Spin-off of the movie.
It's not a prequel at all. What it is
but it's her story from
yeah,
back
but she's
in the day.
telling it to the bad kid from the movie Wonder. That picked on the little boy.
Yeah, so it's that's right. It's kind of a spin-off.
She's telling him the story because he's been sent to a different school now because of his behavior.
Because he was picking on the little boy from Wonder.
Yeah, and so she's telling him the story about the importance of.
So I think we should watch Wonder.
Which.
And then, what?
It's in there somewhere.
Oh Lord. Okay, we're gonna watch Wonder, and then please watch White Bird. It looks really cute.
Yeah, originally was titled White Bird or Wonder Story.
No, it
but
should be.
They just changed it to White Bird, I think, because they don't know.
It's about these the Jewish girl who helps the boy when France is being occupied by the Nazis.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Also coming out to theaters, a movie called The Admirer. A woman is searching for answers because her life has been hacked, but then she finds out it may be some people doing it on purpose because she may have a little stalker situation. Also coming out in theaters, I'm excited to see this one, Gran Turismo. It is based on the true story of the guy who was in the races,
playing the video game, Gran Turismo.
The video games, and then suddenly was able to get into the actual live races.
Yeah, they did some sort of a contest trying to get gamers to be a real life race car driver. But it sounds ridiculous, but I've been hearing it's amazing.
This guy did it though.
But I've been hearing people talking about the movie is coming out and saying it's outstanding.
I'm excited about it. And the real guy, we saw that clip about that interview. Remember that preview thing we saw? It was pretty cool. Okay.
Scroll back up because we'll be talking about that right there.
This one?
Yeah, because that's the one we just watched.
Okay. Oh, yes. The movie Retribution. This is the new Liam Neeson movie. It's the one in the trailer where you see that the guy's like, there's a bomb in your car. Keep driving. That's that movie, basically. All right. Coming out on Hulu is the movie Vacation Friends Part 2.
I was going to ask you if you knew about that.
You need to go watch Vacation Friends Part 1. I think I do.
This one with Lil Rel and John Cena.
Oh, it sure is.
And their chaos, the people.
Yes.
I just saw the trailer the other day for the first time. I didn't know.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to go watch Vacation Friends Part 2. Yes.
Where they meet the couple on vacation and they're like chaos.
And they become their best friends because they won't leave them alone.
Right.
Basically. Okay, so we'll go watch that. And then was that it? Netflix movie. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. So it is obviously put together by Adam Sandler.
Is he in that one?
I think he might have just produced.
I think that's the one with his daughter.
Oh, is it? Let's go look.
Yep, those are his kids.
Okay.
Click on the poster.
So it's called You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. Oh, it is. It's him.
Like that, but I'm pretty sure that's his real life daughter and or daughters.
Oh, that's sweet.
I saw a picture or something of them on the set together.
It's this girl that wants to have the best bat mitzvah ever. And then people are causing issues. Her boyfriend, her friends at school, her family, and she's just trying to plan the perfect party. So I think it's going to be funny. I think it'll be cute. I think that might be it for this week. So there is a lot to see and do. So get out there and watch the movies.
Yeah, what she said.
All right. Well, I guess that's it, friends. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live.
And then our friends in California, be safe.
Yes.
I know the hurricane's hitting, and much love out to the people in Maui.
So there's I wonder if we're going to see any smoke or anything.
I don't know, because we're fixing to head to the Honolulu in another week. So we'll probably do some posts because we are planning a tour, a movie tour. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably post some videos on this channel in Honolulu on the movie tour. They're going to places that they shot Lost and Jurassic Park and things like that. So we'll post some videos for y'all to enjoy. And then if I come back to the show next time, if I'm the only one here, you'll know that she did not make it in the shark swimming.
Yeah.
Or one of us didn't.
Thanks so much for watching us, guys. We will see you next week.
Peace out, kids.
Peace be with you.